All right, we're gonna do some game design. So give me a hot second here to check on my signals, make sure we're live and direct, and we'll get to work. So hold on real fast. Let's see if the stream is up and running. We're gonna do a little bit of 5e24 game design here, and developing the martial power system so that martial characters has the same variety of decisions to make when they gain levels as casters do, with the ability to prepare powers instead of spells on a long rest, or in some cases a short rest depending on what you're building. It's all there to increase your options and to utilize a singular resource, the color mana system that we've developed for 5e for use with Magic the Gathering. So I just need to do some quick updates here on social media to announce my presence, and then we'll be doing it's just a lunch that I'm taking here. I do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The real deep mechanical design happens on Mondays and now Thursday nights as well. Yeah, if you think this stuff is cool, once we get into it, you are most invited to like, subscribe, stick around to see what it is that we got going on. I do artwork in the mornings for the books that I publish, and then in the evenings and at lunchtimes like this, we do the mechanical work of actually developing the stuff that goes into the books that I illustrate. And right now, since it's all 5th edition, I publish it on the DMsGuild, though we're going to be moving a lot of niche content that utilizes these things. So we're like publishing all these ideas on the DMsGuild, but in the long run, we're going to be looking at like little micro examples of things and publishing like little one sheets and stuff like that for like a core artificer, for example, out of the Zendikar setting. I probably wouldn't make that into a DMsGuild product because it's such a niche audience, but I could easily put it on my Patreon. So we'll be doing stuff like that. And I got all my social medias updated here so I can stop yammering. Just let me conclude my introduction here with if you think this stuff is cool, I'm here. I've been doing this for years, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon with God's grace. So we have new subscribers. Thanks a lot, guys. I love it when new people take an interest in the stuff that I'm doing. It's really, really motivating. So thank you. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. All the content that I publish on the DMsGuild. Here's a bunch of links to a bunch of books. They all have 100% free preview. Check all this stuff out. If you think it's cool, use it in your game. Today's document, we already published a lot of this work for 2014, but we're updating and expanding it all for 2024. So here's the playtest document that I've been building. We're compiling all of the rough drafts of this. And let's try reloading this real quick. And so we're going to be working on the monk specifically today. And so we've got D&D Beyond here. Yesterday, or last night rather, we resolved the game rules. Hold on. Give me the thing. How, why? Thank you, classes. We want to go back to, we resolved the 2024, we've done the Paladin, we've gone through everything at least passingly, but we've also had a lot of updates over the past 6 months. So I'm going through to make sure that the book is actually current. So we've gone through all of the Barbarian, all of the class adjustments, subclasses from 2024, and we've upgraded all the 2014 subclasses that did not make the cut into the 2024 book. So the Barbarian is completely current. The Fighter, we finished last night and got into the Monk. We've already resolved the Wizard, the Sorcerer, the Bard, the Cleric, the Druid. We just ran through the Scion, which is an Unearthed Arcana option. We converted that into the mana system as well, as long as all the subclasses and disciplines that they proposed. All these things have been built out. We just need to get through the Monk, Paladin, Ranger, and Rogue, and then all of it should be done. And then we can start working on backgrounds, like the Ravnica backgrounds, Strixhaven backgrounds, and Theros piety systems to make all of that work and expressing characters being grounded, like the renowned piety system takes your character build and binds it to the environment or the setting that the characters run in. So that then allows us to open the door in creating like mana options for your backgrounds and character ancestries that wouldn't be available if not all 14, what will probably be 14 classes, utilizes the same mana system. So the biggest priority in the project was to create a mana system that all classes can use in a way that makes sense to distinguish martial activities from spellcasters, but can be pooled, literally like the mana can be pooled together so that multi-classing is complementary in building different styles of gameplay and action loops and problem solving for the characters that you build inside the 5e game engine, all wrapped in the delicious flavor of the 5-color magic system that Magic the Gathering is famous for, since both Wizards owns both the Magic and D&D IPs. They've done very little to blend those two worlds together into a role-playing game, other than just the core settings that they made for 5e. But when they created Ravnica, Strixhaven, and Theros for D&D, they stripped away the color identities and rebuilt it with the 8 schools of magic and Vancian spell slots, because that's how you play D&D according to 5e Wizards. So instead of them rebuilding the world to utilize the color mana system, they just took those worlds and translated them through the filter of 8 schools with Vancian magic. We're taking that filter off and instead filtering the world of D&D through the magic system, utilizing the color mana spell point variant rules that I have published on the DMsGuild. And now we're expanding it for the martial classes as well, as I said, so that there's a unified base mana system that all characters utilize to express and act within the world. So let me get this eye itch out of the way. Cool. So like I said, we finished Fido last night. We started in on the core mechanics of the monk. Like I said, you can read the document. It's read only for you, but let me go ahead and grab it here. This is the martial powers document in its core. And let me adjust this here so that my background is proper. And if you're new to the channel, welcome to the mix. I stream 9 times per week, Monday through Friday in the morning. I do artwork. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999. And over the past 7 years, I've started making my own books so I can be my own illustrator. So we do illustrations for books I publish in the mornings, and in the afternoons and evenings like this, we actually do game design work. So here's the martial power progression table. The Barbarian, Fighter, Monk, and Rogue now utilize this half-casting system on a short rest mana pool. The Paladin, the Ranger, the Artificer, and Warlock can also utilize this as half-casters with the same scaling ranks of power or casting spells at 1, 5, 9, 13, and 17th level. Half-casting progression really is just the best progression system for the 5e game engine. It's so elegant in character progression of power through the 20 levels, and you can't really experience it unless you actually run campaigns from level 1 to 20, and not a lot of people have the opportunity to do that. So it's I strongly encourage, if you have the opportunity to ever tie into a game that runs from level 1 to 20, do it. Take the year or so of time that it takes and invest it to really feel how the 5e game engine can flow. I run a campaign from level 1 to 20 in about 250 to 270 hours. I've cooked through 3 full campaigns since 2024, or since 5e was published in 2014. And I've ran a number of smaller wind campaigns and a lot of playtesting campaigns that were short run stuff. But the half casting progression system here, your short rest mana, just go back up to that. So we, on basically all of the classes using the system, we all have prepared powers or spells, and it generally tends to curve out to 23 at 20th level. The Martial uses a power die, which is kind of like a Bardic Inspiration die or a Martial Artist die or a Battle Master's Maneuver die, or like a Scion Energy die. It's a power die. You throw mana to trigger an effect, and if that triggered effect can modify your die rolls, is going to be hinging off of this power die that progresses from a D6 to D8 to D10. It's not as good as a Bard. It's not as good as a Monk. It's not as good as a Scion. So it's a lesser degree, but it works. It can mimic a lot of the abilities that other classes can do, just not as well. So in that sense, it has that common binding. And then we have, because you have so little mana at low levels, it's not like you can do a lot with it, right? So we have this concept of temporary mana. Like in Magic the Gathering, if you tap a mana dork, you gain a point of mana that you can then spend to do more stuff than you would normally be able to do, because you have a pack of Llanowar elves on your team, and you got like 4 of them, so you can have them all attack, or you can tap them all down. They can't attack, but now they generate mana for you to do more stuff. It's like they're working as a cooperative effort to generate magic with you. So that's an idea of temporary mana. You temporarily have this mana right now to do whatever it is that you need to do with it. When your turn is over, the mana goes away. That's a very standard practice in the Magic the Gathering game, either through artifacts or mana dorks that can generate the mana for you. So similarly, we have empowered actions, which is you can sacrifice your action economy to generate mana to do a lot of low effort effects. Like you could burn your own mana pool and keep your full action economy to do what you would normally be able to do, but to ramp it because you're adding mana to it. Or you can sacrifice action economy during your turn to do bigger, more impactful things than you would normally otherwise be able to do, but you can't do as much each round. So you're sacrificing actions to generate mana. And this is because these martial characters and half-casters are allowed to operate off of a short rest mana pool that's very small. So you can't do huge Flash Bane stuff, but you can do low-key mana things every round. Basically, for however long you're in combat, you can just keep doing it. And out of combat, you would use your normal mana pool, but you can get that mana back on a short rest. So depending on how your game's time flows inside your game, you're going to end up having as much mana as a full caster does. Because a full caster, like a wizard cleric, they get all of their mana on a long rest. And they have a big fat pool of mana to be able to throw big effects at things. While the marshals don't have a lot of mana, but while they're in an initiative and acting in their role as a marshal, they can just, every round, they can just generate mana to do stuff, or use the mana that they have to lean into what they have. And if you blend the two multi-classing together between marshals and casters, the marshal ends up with a bigger pool to do more flashbang stuff, but you're sacrificing spell levels so your marshal can ramp, but your spell casting atrophies. And at the same time, if you have just a little bit of martial power on your spellcaster, they can always sacrifice action economy to do things like to defend themselves, get themselves out of trouble, ramp their armor class, nail a skill check if they need to out of combat, and they have this bigger mana pool to be able to sizzle out these low cost things in and out of combat. So there's a really fun balancing between the two sides of the game's equation of casting versus marshals, heavy, fat, long rest mana pool versus quickly regenerating and action economy boosting channeling power through the marshals. So that's the dichotomy that we have in like the ranger, the paladin, and the artificer and the warlock as like half casters. They have access to both sides of that equation, but they don't progress their spell casting nearly as fast as they can ramp into their marshals. So, but they can use them both at the same time. You're basically just like swapping spells for powers as a paladin. So, or as a ranger, or as an artificer, or you're adding more on as a warlock with invocations, for instance. So there's a lot of fun ways you can bend those all things together. So we're working on the monk today. And here's like, again, this playtest document is available to everybody. It's just linked down here. You just click on this, and it'll take you into a read-only document. So you're welcome to. We've been playtesting it for off and on over the course of a year as we keep updating it and evolving it. These things, it's an entire Magic system that isn't spellcasting that works well with spellcasting and all the character options and how the 5e game engine runs. It's not easy to build things like this. If you've been a home brewer yourself, you probably recognize how difficult it can be to create new options that feel unique but aren't broken. And this we've been very meticulous, us and a ton of playtesters, to break this stuff down so nothing is too powerful, nothing synergizes too strong, that there's a clear brokenness to anything. It all operates within the scale of what spellcasting already allows you to do. It doesn't outstrip what a paladin can already smite. It doesn't out damage what a paladin or like a rogue can do in single hits. It's all inside that space. So it's delicate in building systems like this, but we're getting to a place where we have a really strong scaffold that we know how we can build systems inside the game to be able to run it properly and to be able to perpetuate it and build new options out of it. So once we get this thing built, it's going to really open up a lot of design space for us to make really unique character, like a Core Artificer, a Boros Swiftblade, what am I trying to think of? Witherbloom, Sedge Witch. All these are different character options that you can basically kit out from level 20, multi-classing between different classes to get different class features and pull spells and powers and mana resources from different class options to build unique character. The cards from Magic the Gathering can be expressed as character options that way, because we have a unifying language across all 14 classes. So, but again, this whole document is available for you guys. It'll be read-only for you, so inconvenient for now. But once it's on the DMs Guild, like all the other books I have down below, it's all 100% free preview. So check out the Color Mana stuff that I have on the DMs Guild. It's good for 2014, but it needs to be updated for 2024. That's part of the process that we're going through. And so currently, we chewed through the fighter last night. We finished the fighter last night, and that was a fun experience. And we had the opportunity to get through the initial block of options for the monk using the mana system instead of focus points. And of course, the monk has its martial arts dice. So the martial arts die is what they use instead of a power die. So the monk is the best at ramping die rolls in the martial power system. So it starts with a D6, it becomes a D8 at 5, a D10 at 11, and a D12 at 17, just like it would with its martial arts die. But you can use those for like ramping your ability checks, saving throws, attack rolls, and you'll see some of that as we go through this process. So scrolling down, we got through the basic traditions of power that have the 4 that appear in the Player's Handbook 24. And then we move down into the Forsaken subclasses, which are the traditions that didn't make the cut into 2024, and that's where we're going to begin today. There's like 8 of them. I don't expect to get through all of them. I have something like a little less than an hour for me to play today, so I expect to get through like maybe 2 or 3 of them, and then we'll come back Thursday night and we'll work on like maybe 4 or 5. Maybe we'll get done with all 6. And whatever we don't get done Thursday night, we'll come back at lunch on Friday and resolve the remnants, and then we'll get into what's next with the Paladin. And I don't think we're gonna have to spend a lot of time on the Paladin. I think it's pretty current, but we're just updating because we've done a lot of rebalancing in powers and added and removed things. Just need to make sure everything's still copacetic. So peeling open over here, the Martial Powers playtest. At the front end are all the powers. All subclasses gain 10 powers if you're a martial, or spells if you're a caster, or like the paladin, the ranger. They're hybrids, so like some paladins, like some rangers get 10 spells, some get 5 spells, and some get no spells. And there's not a lot of indication that there's a balanced issue between the subclasses that warranted that. So it's really weird. So if you get 10 spells as a ranger, great. If you get 5 spells as a ranger, you also get 5 powers. If you get no powers as a ranger, we give you 10 powers. So all classes get 23 prepared and 10 bonus. That's a ton of options for your character that are just built into the 5e character creation engine. And then again, not only do we have things that you can spend mana on, But you can also, instead of preparing mana things, you can prepare meta powers, which don't require mana, which include things like feats. There's a stack of feats. You don't have to worry about the prerequisite, but you don't gain an ability bonus with it. So if you don't want to spend mana on your character, for whatever reason you want to have a simple fighter that doesn't use mana resources, great. Then ignore your mana resources and instead just take a bunch of feats instead. You'll get all the feats you ever want. And so whenever you get an actual ability score adjustment, like at 4, 6, 10, etc., you can actually spin it to increase your stats. So your character gets stronger numerically, as well as having all these different options fed into it. All the weapon masteries that they added in 2024, the way that Wizards did it is bound to a specific type of weapon. So if you're proficient with this system, if you're proficient with that weapon, you can naturally just use that mastery with that weapon. But if I were to, like, say, prepare Cleave, then I could use Cleave with any melee weapon, like a dagger. I could use Cleave with a dagger. How many times have we seen in fiction when someone has a dagger, they slit one guy's throat and they follow through and they slit another guy's throat? That's Cleave. And so to limit it to a battle axe, it's just, or like a glaive, it's unnecessary. Some things like grappling requires melee weapons. Cleave requires melee weapons. Nick requires a light weapon, and you have to be dual wielding while you do it. So there's a lot of limitations, but this allows you to create new weapons and add new things into it. So we have 12 masteries here that you can pick up. The one with asterisks exists inside the player's handbook, and we've just duplicated. We didn't need to change anything about them. We just opened up what you can use them with, and then we added a bunch more. And then you have the stack of feats from the player's handbook. There's a lot of them, not all of them. There are a lot of them, so you keep an eye out for which ones are what. Like skilled is not a feat that you get, because you would just get you get all the feats by like level 2. You get all the feats, and that's broken. So we don't give you that broad access. I'm going to take this actually and separate it into a separate block, so I don't have to worry about it. And then finally, there's damage types. So starting at first level, you can take basic damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. If you're using a weapon and you prepare a damage type, you can always deal that damage instead of the weapon's native damage type. And there's a ton of powers that you can spend mana on that let you, I spend mana, I do extra damage, and that damage is now all psychic damage, for instance. Like a Psyblade naturally gets access to that type of stuff. And then you have the advanced stuff at second rank, which comes in at 5th level. Force, Necrotic, Psychic, Radiant, and Thunder, because creatures are often less creatures have resistance or immunity to the advanced damage types as they do to the basic damage types. So, but this also, since you can prepare damage types when you finish a long rest, the DM has the option of leaning into immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities to different types of damage to add narrative depth to the type of creatures that you're fighting. Like in our playtest right now, they're fighting a Myconid colony that they're discovering has a weakness against fire. And they hadn't tried using fire against these creatures yet, but they discovered it just haphazardly. They just figured it out. And so now they're like, we can buff up on fire abilities and probably tear this place apart. That's making a puzzle out of a lair. It's like, how can we tear this lair? Is going to be impossible for us to fight. Well, if we catch it on fire, we're going to be able to catch up on it quicker. So we'll be able to take them down faster. Like, that's a great solution. And they found that. So it's like they're churning this mega dungeon environment that they're inside of, playtesting this, and they're seeing like we can make puzzles out of the game by having like this cat and mouse about like what kind of damage do I need to take down this opponent. They could later on find an opponent like an energy creature that's immune to everything except for psychic damage, which will suck right now. But once they figure out that's the trick, then they can go prep psychic damage and then come hunt that thing and take it down. Next time, maybe it's cold damage that we need to worry about. Blah, 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 blah. We also have like warding. Like if I want to damage this creature, I have to spend a point of mana to get past the mana ward. So you can gatekeep your ability to attack creatures by having a mana tax on top of it. So your team is going to run out of mana really quickly because their mana pool is so small. The marshals with their short rest, they run out of mana quickly. So they're going to have to constantly give up action economy just to attack this thing. So it's a different type of challenge where how much action economy am I willing to give up to bring this thing down? it's a fun balance. It's a fun balance. So when you're using a mana system, you can explore ideas in a different direction than where 5e is currently capable of going. But once you implement these type of tools, 5e really is just an amazing game engine because it's so loose and fluid. You can easily modify it. It's like the Acura of game engines, where if you want to do street racing with it, you can go and tear the engine apart and rebuild it really easily. It's built to do that. So, and that was one of Mike Merle's conversations. Like, we originally intended to have like the basic like Shadow Dark type system for 5e, and then to have all these tools that you can add in on top of it, which is like why feats were originally an optional idea, why multi-classing was originally an optional mechanic, because they had intended for the 5e to be this very stripped down basic Beckme style of gameplay that's fast and easy, and then start stacking these different types of action economy and resource systems onto it to make it more complicated and tactical. I love both very simple Beckme games. I run very simple Beckme games at my home table, but when I'm building for 5e and playtesting, I love the tactical depth of where the 5e game engine can go when you add these different like resource systems onto it. So you can swing between these different gears and different types of play that you're running, and that's a lot of fun. So anyway, I'm pontificating a lot, which I tend to do because I'm excited about the game engine and what it's capable of doing. So back on track, we're translating The Way of the Ascended Dragon right now. It didn't make the cut in 2024. It got forsaken and left behind, so we have to modernize it for the 5e24 game engine. Before I do that though, we've got some Unearthed Arcanas up here, and let's see if there's anything from the monk in here that I need to keep an eye out for. I don't see any here. What about here? Is there any monk stuff in here? Doesn't look like it. I don't have to worry about it right now. Okay, cool. So we can just rely on the player's handbook and going back down into the monk. And again, all this is all, just look at the link down below for the Martial Powers playtest, and it'll pop open. It'll be read-only, but it's all there for all 14 classes from level 1 to 20 and all the subclasses. We're just going through to make sure it's current and relevant for the 5e24 game engine, with everything up to and through the Scion UA that just came out last week. It is otherwise 100% current. So we're just making sure it's current as of this week. So that it's an ongoing process going through here and chewing on it, but it gives us an opportunity to explore it and learn the system better and see different ways that we can manipulate the game to build new character actions and expressions. So bonus powers, like I said, you gain feats as optional powers, and you don't gain the stat bonuses, but there's no prerequisites either. So the Ascended Dragon, your monk has an allegiance or an affinity towards some sort of draconic heritage, or your temple has some sort of like a psychic or spiritual connection to a particular type of dragon, perhaps that generate that creates the kind of creatures that creates where your monk goes. So mobile as a feat makes you faster. Alert makes your senses sharper. Lycanthropy is one of our powers, which is draconic visage. I mean, mobile is like basically gain 10 feet, and I think there's something else to it. I'm not going to look it up specifically. And then alert gives us a bonus like on our passive perception check. We'll look at lycanthropy real quick though, just to feed you guys some ideas of what these things can do. So sustained powers are personal buffs. They don't require concentration, and you can stack them. A 17th level character as a half caster or as a channeler can have up to 5th level spells or ranks of power. So you have a total number of 5, and sustained powers go from 1st to 4. So you could have at 17th level, you could have 5 first rank powers that you have active all at the same time. Or like you could have a 4th rank power and a 1st rank power, 2 second rank powers and a 1st rank power, a 3rd and 2 first, whatever, any combination that you want. So they aren't as powerful generally as concentration self-buff effects of a spellcaster to have, but you don't have the risk of losing concentration on them. So you turn them on and they stay on. But you also, if you have 5 ranks of power active, when you take a short rest, you wouldn't get that mana back because it's still being used to sustain your powers. You could turn them off when you take a short rest, get all your mana back, and then just turn them back on again. But that's 6 or a half dozen. It's the same either way. It's just how are you expressing it. So they remain active until they're dispelled or you're rendered incapacitated. So you want to keep an eye out for that. So it can burn your mana, and you can't spend action economy to sustain powers. You actually have to spend the power out of your own mana pool. But you always have more mana in your mana pool available than what you can sustain for powers. So it's you never have to worry about running out, because you can always expend action economy to generate mana for you to spend on exploits, maneuvers, reactions, and strikes. So it's just the sustained powers that require your actual mana pool, and that's just a balance issue, because sustained powers last literally all day. We can't give you temporary mana back. You can't just burn mana for free to get something that lasts all day. If you want to do something that lasts just this moment, then we can give you mana that only lasts this moment for you to sacrifice action to have effect. Action and an effect. Take your choice. So, to that point, lycanthropy. First rank power, so you can get this right off the bat at level 1. While sustaining this power, you can shift form into a lycanthrope creature. Your appearance changes to adopt features of a creature of your choice, such as fur or scales, a beak, claw, fang, tail, etc., and gain the following benefits. Your heightened senses, which is you gain advantage on wisdom, perception, and intelligence investigation checks. Feral might, which is gain advantage on strength checks and saving throws. Natural weapons, which is gain an unarmed attack that deals 1 power die. And again, at level 1, a power die is a d6. But for a monk, since this is the monk class, it starts with a d6 and eventually becomes a d12. So your natural weapons can deal 1 power die of damage plus either your strength or dexterity modifier, and which can be either bludgeoning, slashing, or piercing damage, which is your choice, when you channel the power and transform into your animalistic self. Some like barbarian beast subclass, I think they get this for free. So I was like, if you take this subclass, you don't have to spend any mana on it. It's just when you rage, it turns on. Outside of rage, you do need to spend mana on it. So you can decide, I want to keep that mana free to do other things, but while I'm raging, I can become a werewolf. I can go Guru. I can wolf out. And as part of my rage action, as the bonus action, to become a wolf. And now I'm this lycanthrope raging machine that's clawing stuff. Anyway, it's fun. It's fun. So lycanthropy, and then, we got rid of dire impact. That was breaking the game. It gave you basically scaling damage with every hit while you had it turned on. And it just kept breaking the damage curve at the low end, like from level 3 to 6. It was blowing out the damage curve, so we had to get rid of it. We could have potentially added it in at a higher level, but we figured with more attacks, it's just going to perpetuate the problem, so we had to remove it. So we need to find a new power, so I'm going to put an exclamation point here for searching. Deadly Presence is a sustained power, 2nd rank. Let's look at that. Deadly Presence. While the power is sustained and you're not restrained, stunned, paralyzed, or incapacitated, any creature that you can see that begins its turn or moves within reach of your melee attacks takes 1 power die of weapon damage. And that's 2nd rank. So you have to tie up 2 points of mana, and you can't access it till 5th level. And then at 13th level, when you can channel up to 4 mana, you have to tie down all four of your spell slot, all 4 of your sustain slots. But you'll automatically do 2 power dice of damage to anything, anytime they come anywhere near you if you choose. So it's a very powerful passive effect. Intimidating Strike is a strike power. Strike powers work like 2014 Paladin Smites. When I hit you, I can then choose to deal damage. It doesn't take any extra action economy. The Paladin for 24 still can spend bonus action to deal a Divine Smite. That just does more dice of damage than what other characters can do. Only the Paladin can spend their bonus action on top of mana to ramp their damage. Like, all classes are basically limited to a d6 at 1st level or 2nd level to deal a strike power. And then you get the kicker effect. But a Paladin at 2nd level with the Divine Smite, if you expend your bonus action, you can do a d8, and you can do 2 of them, 2d8, which is what you can actually do with the Divine Smite spell. When you spend mana, spend 1 point of a spell slot, 1st level spell slot, you'll do 2d8 damage, and it's radiant damage at 2nd level. Well, the paladin, if you spend 1 point of mana and you dump divine smite on top of it as a bonus action, you won't do 1 point, but you'll do 2, and it increases your die size from a d6 to a d8. So the cap is a d12. So like you could go paladin 2, monk 18, and you would at 17th level as a monk get the d12 martial arts die, but 12 is the cap. So you would, as a second level paladin, 18th level monk, you'd be able to put 5 mana from your monk to deal 5d12 damage. And then on top of it, as a paladin at 2nd level, you'd be able to spend your bonus action to add an additional point of mana for free. So it'd be 6d12 damage instead of 5d12. Instead, if I went paladin 18, I would be able to take 5 dice as a paladin, and I'd have a d10 as a paladin at 17th level, but the divine smite lets me upgrade the die by 1, so it would be 5d12, and then if I dump my bonus action, because I went 18 levels of paladin, that bonus action is worth 3 mana, not 1. So I would be doing 8d12 damage on a smite for costing 5 mana out of my mana pool to do it, which is comparable to a sorcerer 18 paladin 2 that could spend a 9th level spell slot to use divine smite, dealing 10 d8 damage, which is a total of 80 damage. The paladin instead would be able to do 8d12, which could cap at 96 damage. It's a little bit better than what a multi-class paladin would be able to pull off. So it rewards the paladin for staying a paladin instead of borrowing from the paladin and then multi-classing off into a full caster. You're actually rewarded more for remaining a paladin, because like a paladin 2, sorcerer 18 doesn't gain any power, so you'd only be able to spend 1 mana at 2nd level as a paladin and only get 1 point of mana. So if you want to get good at smiting, you have to stay a paladin. You can't just bail and go into sorcerer. But if you did go into sorcerer, you're going to have like 80 mana by the time you get to 18th level. So you could spam 2d8 hit die, like 2d8 smite effects off of your sorcerer basically for fucking ever. So it's a fun reward, a risk reward system. You get in the mana pool from the sorcerer, but you can't do a lot with it because your smite isn't very high level because you bailed out of paladin. So a fun little balance thing there. So we're looking at intimidating strike, which is 2nd rank, and strike? Where is it? Intimidating strike. Did we change it? Oh, we pushed it up a level, that's right. Your weapon can deal psychic damage and increases damage by 1 power die per mana channeled. When at 3rd rank, it requires 3 mana, so we're going to be doing 3d8. Or, yeah, in the monk's case, it'd be 3d8 damage at 9th level, 3d10 at 11th. And the creature is frightened of you until it can no longer see you or you are incapacitated. And the creature can attempt to end the effect by succeeding a wisdom saving throw at the end of each of its turns. But it automatically happens. You hit them, and they're guaranteed to be scared of you. That's one of the advantages that powers have over spells, that when you hit with these powers, attacking and hitting and dealing damage is the triggering effect for doing the on-hit effects, and they often don't get saving throws against it. They just become frightened of you, so they won't come closer to you, and they're at disadvantage to attack you. But they can then, at the end of each of their turns, so you are guaranteed to affect them once, and then at the end of their turn, they can start trying to save. If they have legendary saving throws, they can end it. If they have a boosting effect, they'll hit it more easily. Like Indomitable, for instance, they'll be able to get out of being scared almost immediately. So using these things against characters is good too, because it helps back them off of where your monster's at so they can hit you at range. So that becomes, yeah, and at 3rd level, there we go, that tracks. Blind Sense is a first that basically lets you see target within 10 feet per rank of power. So at 17th it's 50 feet. At 1st it's only 10 feet. Wave of Terror is a maneuver 3rd rank. And maneuver can be used as a magic action or a bonus action. You can use maneuvers twice in the same round if you want to. So I could use Wave of Terror twice in the same turn if I wanted to, if I was willing to spend the mana to do it. And Wave of Terror goes like what? Maneuvers. Where are you at? Oh, that's right. We pushed it to 4, didn't we? Yeah, see, like we've done some balancing equations here. So we've made some changes. So maneuver 4, there you go. You can choose any number of creatures that you can see within 60 feet to make a wisdom saving throw. See, you're hitting multiple targets and you don't have to hit them, so that requires a saving throw. Maneuvers are like spell-like effects, while strikes are on-hit effects. It's different. There's a different equation there. It's a different balance. Each creature that fails is frightened of you. The effect ends for a creature when it can no longer see you. It can also end the effect early if it succeeds a wisdom saving throw at the end of its turns. Indestructible, sustained 4. So this eats up a lot, but it's also really powerful. So let's go take a look at Indestructible right now. I just plucked that from the MTG cards. The way that it reads is, while sustaining this effect, you gain resistance to all damage, and you can't get crit. No one can crit you while you're indestructible, but you're only resistance to everything, right? So in addition, as a reaction to taking damage, you can dismiss this power. So you're dumping the 4 mana and losing indestructible. You can choose to you can dismiss this power, and if you do, until the end of your next turn, you are immune to the triggering damage type. And then as a bonus action on your next turn, you can turn it back on again. Again, it costs you 4 mana to use it. It's expensive, but it would let you swim in lava if you wanted to. Until, as a bonus to replacing any damage attack score, immune. Let's see, and if you do, until the end of your next turn, you are immune to the triggering damage type. So I could jump into a lake of lava, dealing 20d6 fire damage per turn, and I could spend 4 mana to turn on Indestructible, and then react to sacrifice it, become immune to fire damage, go swim, and until the end of my next turn, I have a bonus action I could use to turn it back on, and then use my reaction to sacrifice it to become immune to magic again. It'd be very difficult for me to sustain that long term, but while I still have mana holding out, I could do it. So fun effect. Let's see, and then Bursting Strike is 3rd rank strike, and Bursting Strike is, this is why it takes so long for me to go through one of these, because I talk about everything as we go. So hopefully this stuff is fun for you guys. I do this 4 times a week, and then we do artwork in the mornings. So Bursting Strike, 3rd rank, 3 mana. You deal 3 extra power dice worth of damage, and any number of creatures you choose within 10-foot emanation from the target, also from the target that you hit, also takes damage equal to the result of those power dice. So if I hit you with an axe, doing like 15 points of damage, and I use Bursting Strike on top of it, I'll do an extra. At 9th level, I'd be rolling d8, so an extra 3d8 damage to that target, and then everything within 10 feet of it, whatever I choose to damage within that 10 feet will take those 3d8 dice of damage as well. And then each of these creatures can save for half damage from it, because you didn't have to hit any of those other creatures. They get a saving throw. So if you hit something, generally they don't get a saving throw. If it's something you just point and click, then they get a saving throw, kind of like spellcasting. So those are the powers. We still need to pick up a replacement for level 5 because one of the powers we had doesn't exist anymore. So let's just see the kind of shit that we can do in the base class and figure out if that provides us an idea about what sort of power would make sense here. So looking at the specific details, I think I have this one built out, but I want to go back through and just look at it and see what sensibilities are. So Draconic Presence. If you fail a Charisma, Intimidation check, or Persuasion check, you can use your reaction to reroll the die. Once this feature turns a failure into success, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest, which is from the player's handbook. Or with us, you can expend a point of mana to regain it, and it doesn't cost an action to do so. So anytime you fail a die roll from then on forward, just spend a point, reroll, and you can add your power die to try to change it to a success. Draconic Strike. When you damage a creature with an unarmed strike, because you're a monk, you can deal acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage. And then Tongue of the Dragons, you can learn to speak, read, and write Draconic or one other language of your choice. Breath of the Dragon. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of the attacks with an exhalation of Draconic energy in either a 20-foot cone or a 30-foot line. That's 5 feet wide, your choice. Choose a damage type: acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison. Each creature in that area must make a dexterity saving throw. taking damage of the chosen type equal to the result of 2 power dice, or half as much if they succeed a saving throw. If I had to make an attack roll, it would just be a flat 1 power die of damage. But since they're making a saving throw to avoid the effect, it's 2 power dice. So they're going to at least take 1 power die of damage. And then at 11th level, the damage of this feature increases to 3 power dice. You can use this feature, and you can use this feature a number of times equal to the max rank or power that you've gained as a monk. And at 3rd level, it's 1. By 17, it's 5. And you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You can expend 1 mana to regain 1 use. So I could spend, like, you can sacrifice attacks to generate mana. So at 5th level, as a monk, I could sacrifice an attack to generate a free point of mana to then use my breath weapon as an area of effect as my other attack, and that leaves my bonus action open to, like, Flurry of Blows, or channel a maneuver that I know, or sustain a power that I know. So I have a lot of, or I can sacrifice my bonus action to generate additional mana for, I don't know, movement or a reaction or something, whatever I would need it for. Wings Unfurled, level 6. When using Art of Mobility, you sustain 2 mana to unfurl spectral draconic wings from your back that vanish when you dismiss this power. While the wings exist, you have a flying speed equal to your walking speed. So for 2 mana, you gain flight equal to your speed, and it lasts for however long you're willing to tie up those 2 points of mana. At level 6, your 2nd rank, you can only channel 2 mana, so you can't be sustaining other powers when you do this, but you can, and when you do, you can do it for however long you want. And you can activate it, and you can deactivate it at will, and you can activate it as an action or a bonus action. When using Art of Mobility, you sustain 2 mana. You can sustain 2 mana. I have to change the language there. It's a sustained power, so we can't use action economy to generate it. While using this, you can sustain 2 mana. Yeah, there you go. That's good language. Aspect of the Worm, 11th level. As a bonus action, you can create an aura of draconic power that radiates 10 feet from you for 1 minute. For the duration, you gain 1 of the following effects of your choice. Frightful Presence. As a bonus action, when you create the aura as a bonus action and on subsequent turns, also as a bonus action, you can choose a creature within the aura. The target must succeed a wisdom saving throw or become frightened of you for 1 minute. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a successful saving throw. Once you create this aura, you can't create it again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend 3 mana to create it again. So this is once per round while it's active, and it lasts for 1 minute. And unless you spend, and I can activate the aura again. So if you notice, we have Wave of Terror. It's 4 mana and affects all creatures within 60 feet. But the Frightful Presence is active initially for free, and it's a single target per bonus action per round. So, and then you can turn it back on for another 3 mana to sustain it, to turn it back on again. So it's a different action economy, it's a different cost. And then you gain 1 of the following benefits: resistance instead. Choose a damage type: acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, and you and your allies within your aura have resistance to that. So I could switch the aura by spending 3 mana on a bonus action or a magic action. So I could swap that as I need to. I could use I could use a bonus action to trigger Frightful Presence and scare something, and then I could trigger it again as a hold on. Choose a damage type. Oh no, I wouldn't be able to do it twice because it requires a bonus action to turn on. That's fair enough. If it was already on, I could scare something, and then I could use my bonus action to trigger it again to switch it to resistance if I needed to. Fair enough. If I had time stop, it allows me to gain extra bonus actions. I could potentially use this twice in the same turn. There is that going for us. Granted, to get time stop, I have to be a 17th level wizard, which means I only have 3 ranks of power, so I wouldn't gain. I would only gain 3 levels as a monk, so I wouldn't actually be able to get this because it's the 11th level. But I mean, you know, balance. So let's see, Ascended Aspect. You gain the following benefits: Augment Breath. When you use Breath of the Dragon above, you can spend 1 mana to augment its shape and power. The exhalation of draconic energy becomes either you can expend 1 mana as an exploit, to augment its shape and power. The exhalation of draconic energy becomes either a 60-foot cone or a 90-foot line, 5 feet wide, your choice. And each creature in that area takes damage equal to 4 power dice instead of 3, saving for half damage. And you gain the following, and you gain blind sight and tremor sense out to 10 feet. 10 feet, and then we have blind sense already, but at this point, blind sense is like 50 feet. So the power, sustaining the power gives you a longer range, but you always have a default of at least 10 feet. So as an exploit, you can exploits can be used to generate mana. So I could sacrifice an attack, I could sacrifice my reaction, or I could sacrifice my bonus action to generate temporary mana that could pay for augmenting my breath. Explosive Fury. When you hold on, looking at it again. Breath Dragon. Yeah, it only costs 1 mana for me to get it back. So for 2 mana, I can make it more hyped. Let's see, and then we get Ascended Dragon. You gain the following benefits: Augment Breath. Oh, we were just here. Blind Sense, and then Explosive Fury. Thank you. Explosive Fury. When you activate your aspect of the worm, which is your aura, choose any number of creatures you can see in your aura. Each of these creatures must succeed a dexterity saving throw or take 3 power dice of whatever damage type you want. And you can regain that when you spend 3 mana. So you spend 3 mana, you deal 3 dice of damage to creatures around you as an area of effect. It's kind of like Bursting Strike, but you don't have to hit anybody. They instead make a saving throw. And so that feeds everything that the Draconic Ascended Dragon does. So now we need to find a 1st or 2nd rank power that's going to complement that kit of abilities. So let's go power hunting. None of the damage types, because there's so many types of damage that can be done, none of them in particular is specifically appropriate. So let's look at reactions. I don't think we have any reactions. Let's see if there's any that are cool. Deflection, downtrodden, feint, interpose, position, retaliate. No, there's a screaming draconic or energy or even monk in particular. Well, monk, yeah, but countering attack, curse of the fallen puppet, empower ally. Empowered ally is a reaction to when an ally fails a d20 test. Roll 1 power die. Moving target, redirect. Roll with the hit. You reduce the damage to half. Saving grace, you can reroll a saving throw. As a reaction to taking damage from an attack, you reduce the damage to half. Roll with the hit's actually pretty good. Let's take that. Reaction 2. Yeah, that feels good. If anyone checking out this document thinks of a better option for Way of the Ascended Dragon of 1st or 2nd rank, let me know. And I will jump into my Discord community and say, hey, I think this would work. And I would welcome the suggestion. I might not necessarily take it, but I would welcome the debate if I don't. So that finishes the Draconic Discipline. How are we looking on time? I probably have time to do one more. So, oh boy, Astral Self. Let's do that. We have the Astral Self. What kind of goodies do we get? Let's see. Subtle Channeling means that there's no visual cue or tell that you're channeling powers. Mobile is movement. Radiant Strike deals radiant damage. Phase, maneuver 2. Is that still in effect? Do we still have phase? We may have gotten rid of phase. I think we got rid of phase. Hold on. Yeah, it's not here anymore. Oh, we have Ghost Walker is a sustained effect that we replaced it with. It made more sense as a sustained power that you can just do on an ongoing basis to walk through things, and it did as a per round thing that you would have to end your round in something that wasn't a solid surface, otherwise you'd take damage. So Well, we had that issue. So let's see. Where is Ghost Walker? 3rd rank. We pick up Ghost Walker at 17th. We pick up Flicker Pounce already at 3rd. So it looks like we have another open option at level 5, 1st and 2nd rank. Power Armor is still good. It creates Power Armor and Power Shield create force. This is like Mage Armor, but like it scales up with you. And Power Shield replaces holding a shield. It creates a field of energy that acts as a shield that also scales up. Anchor prevents things from moving as a reaction. So if they try to move, teleport, or plane shift, you deal damage and root them in place. And you can choose not to deal damage if you want to root an ally in place so that they don't get pushed, teleported, or shifted. You can keep them in place to keep them from being banished, for instance. You can choose to deal damage against your enemies. You can choose not to deal damage for your allies. But anytime any creature is basically being repositioned against their will, you can drop Anchor on them and they lock in place until the start of their next turn. Banishing Strike banishes creatures when you hit them. They make a Charisma saving throw to get back. And then Ghost Walker it's incorporeality. You walk through shit. You'll take damage if you end the effect inside something, but otherwise it lets you march through rock over time. Let's see. Okay, cool. So, Arms of the Astral Self, your mastery of your mana allows you to summon a portion of your Astral Self as a bonus action. You can spend 1 mana to summon the arms of your Astral Self. When you do so, each creature of your choice that you can see within 10 feet of you must succeed a Dexterity saving throw or take force damage equal to 2 rolls of your power die. As a first rank sustained power, these special arms hover near your shoulders or surround your arms, your choice. You determine the arm's appearance, and they vanish early if you are incapacitated or die. While the spectral arms are present, you gain the following benefits. So this is a first rank power. It's a sustained effect, so you can keep it on all day, but you can't use any other powers when you do. You can use your channeling ability modifier in place of your strength modifier when making strength checks and strength saving throws. So a monk can choose either strength, dexterity, or wisdom as their channeling ability score, which is useful for multi-classing, like a rogue monk, Moog or Ronk would want to use like dexterity because that's a unifying stat between those two classes. But like a monk druid would probably want to go with wisdom because the druid needs wisdom for the spell casting. So your choice. You can use the spectral arms to make unarmed strikes, and when you make an unarmed strike with your arms on your turn, your reach is 5 feet greater than normal. The unarmed strikes you make with the arms can use your channeling ability modifier in place of your strength and dexterity modifier for the attack and damage rolls, and the damage type is force. So, and you eventually get force with unarmed attacks anyway, so this is just giving it to you early. And then level 6, Visage. You can channel up to 2nd rank powers, so you can summon the Visage of your Astral Self as a bonus action or as part of the bonus action you take to activate Arms of the Astral Self. If you can spend an additional point of mana to sustain the Visage and the arms together as a combined 2nd rank power. There is no T. And advances early if you are incapacitated to die. The feature is otherwise unchanged. Oh, the feature is otherwise unchanged. That's shorthand language for look at it in the book. And that's something that we were adjusting. Whenever we see something like it doesn't change or it's as listed in the book, we're actually importing the language from the book to make sure that everything is kosher. So let's see what it says. Body of the Astral. Whoop. Copy. Let's open this up. Copy, cut. There we go. You gain the following benefits. Let's remove that text because we're current otherwise. Here, deflect energy. Boop. And then empowered arms. Boop. There. When you take acid, cold, fire, force, lightning, or thunder damage, you can use your reaction to deflect it When you do so, the damage you take is reduced by 1d10 plus your wisdom modifier. When you hold on. Deflect energy 13. You can now use your deflect attack feature against any type of attack. That's the same names we have going down here. So we're gonna switch that. We're gonna change the name for the astral self, because that's the exception, the less important variable. So instead of deflect energy, this can be deflect. What would it be? Diffuse energy. When you take, you can use it. So the way that it's listed above is an attack that comes in, you can deflect the attack and reduce the damage coming from the attack roll. And at 13, initially it's just BPS, but at higher levels, the damage can be any type of energy, whether you're dealing fire damage with the attack or force damage with the attack. If it's an attack, you can deflect it. With this, it doesn't even have to be an attack. It's just any type of damage, any kind of energy that comes at you. So when you take acid or thunder damage, which can be from an attack or another source. That's an important distinction. You can use your reaction to deflect it. When you do so, the damage you take is reduced by... Hey, there's text down there. Give me a second. Let me catch up with it. I'll catch up with you in a moment. I just want to look at the language that I have for the deflect attacks on the monk that we already have to make sure that the language is the same. There we go. By an amount equal to 1 power die plus chilling modifier. One power die. Okay, I'm almost there. Let me catch up on this feature, and then I'll read your statement. Thanks for showing up. Hold on. Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. You can use your reaction. When you do so, the damage you take is reduced by 1 power die plus channeling ability modifier. I think I'm on the wrong feature. Oh yeah, this is the level 11 feature. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's going on, Fernando? I'm feeling a little like you. I'm trying some layout stuff, homebrew classes into the PDF, and painting some things with an old Wacom that my girlfriend. Oh my God! Right on, man. I am proud to inspire that within you. That is fantastic, man. Congrats. I'm excited to see what it is that you can come up with. Deflect energy. I didn't realize I was on the wrong feature. So unpowered arms. When you hit a target with your arms, as a self, you deal extra damage equal to target equal to 1 power die. There we go. So I'm just gonna make this bold, and then I can just grab this diffuse energy here. Cut. That's super exciting, man. 1, 2, 3. There. Now I can blip this out of the way and go back to Visage where we're supposed to be. Oof. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. No wonder I skipped that. Copy. Paste. Select all. Copy. Remove. There. Blah, blah, blah. 1, 2, 3. Astral sight. I don't think we need to change anything about this. Wisdom of the spirit. And word of the spirit. Yeah, we're almost done. When you speak, you can direct your words to a creature of your choice that you can see within 60 feet of you, making it so only that creature can hear you. Alternatively, you can amplify your voice so that all creatures within 600 feet can hear you. That's cool. Astral sight, you can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, to a distance of 120 feet. You have advantage on wisdom, insight, and charisma intimidation checks. And hey, more text. What's up? Just in case the text you just pasted is in... Oh, it's in red. Jesus, thank you. Yeah, I would not know that. I'm going to... select all, and then format. Thank you. Text. Why? Where? Where's my color? I'm not the biggest fan of Google Docs. It is not an intuitive tool to me. Size. It has size, capitalization. Where the fuck is my colors? Text. Format options. Well, damn it, Janet. Why isn't... Where the fuck is color? This is not an intuitive program, like, fucking at all, man. Are there homebrew classes? Oh, hey, Jesse, how you doing? Are there homebrew classes features part of the overall world building project, or just a new spin on vanilla D&D? I'm currently translating everything in D&D into this system, and then we get to make up our own stuff. I do have the Echo Knight in here, but that doesn't really count because that's Darrington Press. But like Boros Swiftblade, Core Artificer, Gruul Barbarian, like a Demir Thought, Mind Thief, stuff like that. There's all sorts of like Azorius, Demir Thought Stealer, and God, what am I trying to think for Azorius? There's like the Mind Police. There's stuff we can do with that. Yeah, there's like any MTG card we can create into a subclass, tradition, feats, or powers. So we just want to. We're initially the project is to translate everything in D&D into the system as a grounding principle, and then we can further translate it from there. And I'm just gonna have to leave it red for now. I appreciate the call out on that, Felix, but I've already wasted too much time looking for the answer on this. But yeah, I wouldn't know otherwise because I don't see any color. So if you want to watch me paint in color, even though I can't see any color, swing on by on the mornings and ask me, and I'll point it out to you. Though I'll probably bring it up myself next time I go grabbing color. But yeah, I'll update this when I figure out how the fuck to do it. Summon Visage, Astral Sight, blah blah blah. Good. Okay, and we just figured out Body of the Astral Self for the diffused energy and the empowered arms, and now. Awakened Astral Self, your connection to your Astral Self, and hold on. When you hit target Astral Self, arms. Combined as the second rank power. Bop, 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 bop. You can sustain 4 mana to summon arms, visage, and body of your astral self. Awaken, it will... Okay, so we need third here. Copy. You can spend an additional points of 3. You can an additional 3 points of mana. Combined third rank power. And 11th level, the max rank of power you can sustain is 3, so it ties it all up. Diffuse, Empower, and then Awaken. Thank you. Your connection to your astral self is complete, allowing you to unleash its full potential. As a bonus action, you can sustain 4 mana to summon the arms, visage, body, and astral self and awaken it while sustaining. This awakened ends early if you are incapacitated or die. While the astral self is awakened, you gain the following benefits. Armor of the Spirit, gain +2 to your armor class. Astral Barrage. Whenever you use the attack action with your astral arms, you gain 3 attacks instead of 2. This attack can be used with the empowered maneuvers and empowered attack features. This extra attack can be used. Boy, this is old. You can use to this additional attack can be sacrificed to generate mana, as all other attacks can. Bonus actions, no. But this isn't the bonus action. When you use your attack action, you get 3 attacks. Hey, what's up? It's in the... Oh, thank you. Waiting for the thing to update. When I hit select all, it takes a moment. Thank you, my sir. Text color. Black. Black is your soul. I like using a dark gray in actual body text because I think it's gentler on the eye. But this is fine. Okay, cool. That was it. Okay, so we need a power. We're short 1 power of 2nd or 1st rank. We get a general vibe here. I'm starting to think, we're going to tie up basically all of our mana until 13th level on sustained powers. So adding sustained powers, it's nice, but you know what? I don't think it's worth 4. I think that's too aggressive. Let's reduce that. Your mastery of mana allows you to summon a portion of arm. As a bonus action, you can spend 1 mana to sustain arms as a 1st rank sustained power. These spectral arms hover. You can summon these to sustain these visage armors as a combined 1st rank power. I'm going to just switch these all to 1st rank power because that's too expensive. We're overtaxing the cost. As a combined 1st rank power. We're going to make this as a combined 2nd rank power. Combined 1st rank power. And then here we'll push it to 2nd rank. Second rank, it should be 1st rank up here. 1st rank, 2nd rank. As a bonus action, you can sustain the arms, visage, and body of your astral self and awaken it as a 2nd rank sustained power. And awaken it, period. This awakening ends early if you're and awaken it as a 2nd rank power. Period. There we go. That's the language we were looking for. So it's first. It's at 3rd level. It's the only thing you can do. That's fair. And then at 5th level, it's still only going to cost you 1. So you have 1 rank open to sustain something else. And then at 9th level, you have 3 ranks open, and it still only costs 1. At 11th level, you have 3 ranks open, and it'll cost you 2 for everything. At 13th level, you've got 4 open, and it'll cost you 2. And at 17th level, you've got 5 total, and it'll cost you 2. So you have 3 open. So using that wisdom, let's look at our bonus list again for all our sustained powers. We have Power Armor and Power Shield, which are both 1st rank sustained powers, which we can do. And that's it. So... we could afford to have another sustained power, but I don't think I want to do that. Let's go back, and this will be the last thing that we do today. So I'm going to cap this off, and then we'll be done. But we'll be back Thursday night to work on this for like 3 hours, and then we'll be back at lunch. And once we get done with the monk, we'll start in, we'll do this updating process with the ranger as well. So let's see what's some cool juicy shit that isn't a sustained power that we'd want to drop in on this guy. Banishing Strike makes a lot of sense, and I think we have that already. Yeah. Here, and then Asium Strike. When you deal radiant damage, you cause the damage of seeing the per mana channel. The creature glows with faint light, negating the ability. Oh, Asium Strike sounds good. Your weapon can deal radiant damage and increases the damage by 1 power die per mana channeled. The creature glows with a faint light, negating the benefits of invisibility or concealment. The creature must succeed a charisma saving throw or any illusion and shape-changing effect targeting the hit creature end. The glow fades after 1 minute. Asium Strike. I think that's fucking perfect. Where are we at? Something went wonky. There's a second rank power. Thank you. And thank you, Timely Timer. That's my go back to work, son. Your lunch is over alarm. So perfect timing. Perfect freaking timer. Let's get that Asium Strike in here real quick. Asium Strike. STR1. There we go. Let me catch up my text. Thanks for the tip, Fernando. I really appreciate you. Dark gray, perfect. I'll take note of that in my PDFs. Yeah. It's just easier. It's like if you don't use a white page, like a very mild, like 189 to 250, just takes a little bit of edge off of the white, and then by dropping it from black to like, I generally use anywhere from 40 to 120, depending on like body text versus like bold titles and stuff like that. That's generally a pretty a much gentler look on the eye. You can check out a lot of my books down below. They'll have like the Spelljammer book and the Ravnica book that I have, the Pacts and Patrons of Ravnica. Both of those have. Oh God, yeah. Jesse, to your point, if you want to check out down below the Pacts and Patrons of Ravnica book that I made, it takes the 10 guilds of Ravnica and converts them into otherworldly patrons. So if you're a guild mage in the Ravnica setting in D&D, you're a warlock that has made a pact, a guild pact perhaps, with the guild that you're a part of. And we have a subclass for all 10 of them. And then we have additional boons and invocations themed off of different Magic the Gathering cards. So check that stuff out if you think that's cool. That's a direction. We're going to be updating that for 5e24. And we'll be diving into, like, that's the kind of nonsense we can get into it. But it's too specific to really, like, that was an experiment. It's too niche to really be something to put on the DMsGuild. Like, I hired people to do that, and we all took a loss on it. It's just too specific of a product in a specific setting with competing with other options. Like, if you're Rakdos, sure, you could use our Rakdos Guild Mage option, or you could just take Fiend. You know, and like, it's too much competition for it. It's too niche of a product. But as a Patreon thing, I can just spam this shit all day. It's like, hey, check out my Patreon. This is the kind of stuff that we're building. Join in. Do votes and stuff like that. Decide what we do next. But I can't get there until we finish all these books. So like next year at some point, we'll be getting into that. But yeah, that's a really good example. I can't believe that didn't just pop to mind. All right, so that's where we're at for today, guys. Astral Self is done. We're going to do Drunken Master. We'll revisit the 4 elements, so it's largely unnecessary at this point. Kinsei, I love Kinsei. Long Death, Sun Soul, and then we'll get into the Paladin. So we should be able to finish Monk this Thursday night. No, I'm playing Shadow Dark this Thursday with Wally DM and How to RPG and AJ Pickett. So I'll be playing Shadow Dark from on stream on their channel. From level from 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock Seattle time, and then by 7:30 we should be up. So I can go from 7:30 till 9. We'll get some of them done, and I'll probably finish on Friday, and then Monday next week in the evening we'll start in on the Paladin and sweep through that, and then Ranger, and then Rogue, and then they should all be done, and then we can start working on like Piety for Theros, and then rebuilding the Ravnica and Strixhaven backgrounds to comply with what we've learned. So there you go, guys. Cheers. I'm out of here for now. If you think this shit's cool, I'm here a lot, either doing artwork in the morning or game design like this in the evening. So like, subscribe, bell icon, blah blah. Cheers, my man. I appreciate you swinging by. Thanks, Jesse. Check out my books down below. They all have free previews. If you want to buy something, it's a vote of support and it's appreciated. But you don't have to buy to read. If you don't think my shit's worth it, don't buy it. But if you think it's cool and you want to see more art or more game design, then pick up something maybe. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. I'll see you guys on the other side. Thanks for letting me chill, and thanks for letting me share, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.